gotta call. You
All
gotta
right. Yep. All right. Well, Mike already knows me. I'm the president now,
Christina,
and I'll let Alba go next.
Yeah, so my name is Elba Parga. We've been sending you emails and stuff. Nice to meet you. And a student here at Metro, and I am majoring in mechanical engineering. I've been with Journey for about 2 years now, and I'm the vice president. So, yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Do I call the next person or?
The Atala would be next.
Yeah.
Hello, nice to having you here. I am Tala, and I am a secretary in Journeys to Our Heritage, and I've been here like 2 years now, and I'm a student of MSU Denver, and I'm majoring in computer information systems. Brenda?
All right, my turn. Hi, nice to meet you, Michael, finally. And thank you for being here with us. Thank you for joining us today and being able to share this conversation in time. My name is Brenda. I am a senior at Metropolitan State University, majoring in political science and a proud member of the Journey Through Our Heritage team. So nice to meet you.
And who else is left to introduce themselves? Is that Orlando?
Christina says she can't keep eating.
My name's Orlando. I'm a video production major. I've been with Journey for about 1.5 years now, and I appreciate you coming and taking time to talk to us.
Okay, so we're ready.
Word. So yeah, thank you, Renee, and yeah, thank all of you for taking the time to do this. Even though I'm sure Renee told y'all that you had to do it, you didn't made excuses and done something. So thank you for being here. I appreciate y'all. And I like seeing that Renee will never change. I see that she's still nervous, Renee, per usual, and that makes me smile. And I'm glad that y'all got to deal with that now.
Because we do a lot, though. We do a lot.
So I will start, and actually today I'm more so planning to have this as a conversation, specifically being that it's called Courageous Conversations. I'd like, so I don't know if this came out of Courageous Conversations, but I'd like to talk to you all about what Courageous Conversations means to me and how that can help you all with your work, really. So I do have a presentation, and I'll be jumping back and forth between the presentation. And also, I'm an elementary school teacher now. So if I start talking to you like you're a 5th grader, please just pause me and remind me that I'm not talking to my kid. I'm by saying a member of Black Lives Matter 50 Faith. And I wanted to start by saying that because of all that's happening in the world right now, Black Lives Matter is really in the spotlight. And so I would like to share some of the work that Black Lives Matter does, how I got to Black Lives Matter, and how we all can work together on some of the stuff that Black Lives Matter is working towards. The title of my presentation today is really going to be about allies, accomplices, and co-conspirators. And I'll come back to that in a second. I'll start by saying my name is Michael Diaz Rivera, and I'm here because I love and I value Black people, and I want allies, accomplices, and co-conspirators to help us get closer to our liberation. I am also here because I am alumni of Black Lives Matter. I am alumni of Journey Through Our Heritage, and my work with Journey Through Our Heritage actually led me to doing the work that I do with Black Lives Matter now. And one of the first caveats I will start is by saying, when I talk about Black people, I'm not actually talking about race. I'm talking about Blackness and whiteness, the ideology that it stands in the world. So I'm talking about people that have access to white privilege and white supremacy, and those that don't. And that's what I mean by black and white people. But I'll go more into that in just a second. So my mission today is to explore how individuals who are in positions of privilege are able to use their privileges and become better allies in movements. Through local and community work, there are many ways our communities can gather strength to facilitate change, and we will discuss how even the smallest acts can lead to monumental shifts universally. So first, before I go any further, I would like to just make some agreements for today's conversation. And the first agreement that I want to make is that a lot of the things that I say today could be looked at as controversial. Some of the things that I say today are going to make you uncomfortable. And I hope that you can sit with that. And I hope that we will be able to talk about those uncomfortable feelings today and if any feelings that make you feel good as well. But I think sometimes we have to be uncomfortable and uneasy, and that's how we grow. So some of the things that I say today will be coming from my experience, therefore they are my truth. And it won't make sense for us to argue our truth. If something is true for you, that doesn't mean it necessarily has to be true for you. If something is true for you, it doesn't necessarily have to be true for me. So one of the first agreements I want to say is this is a space for people of color to love on each other and build towards our liberation. White allies are welcome, but asked to recognize their privilege. This is a space that centers Black women, Black LGBTQ, and Black femmes. Be aware of your power and privilege as well as the amount of tension that you get in a group and try something new. Don't hog the mic. So what I mean by don't hog the mic and the previous one about privilege and try something new and being in Journey Through Our Heritage, I'm sure that you all are familiar that there are some that tend to talk and there are some people that tend not to talk. Today, in today's workshop, I'd like for you to try something new. If you're one of those people that's often taking the mic and talking more than other people, maybe take a step back and try to let other people speak up. But also, I don't want this to be the type of workshop where we're all just being silent, staring at each other. Also, actively listen. The way I think of actively listening is the way I teach it to my fourth graders, is that you should listen like your life depends on it. So you want to listen as if I'm going to give some instructions that could be crucial to your life. Therefore, you won't miss out on anything and we won't have to repeat things. Definitely check your power, privilege, and fragility. We'll talk more about power and privilege, but something that I've noticed that gets in the way of the work that I try to do is fragility. And that is the ability for people to be easily broken, the ability for people to be weak, for lack of a better term. And that's when people get new information or they hear something or something happens and it sends them into a place where they can't work. And they're just in a place where they're frozen, either scared or something. And I don't want that to happen. Journey Through Our Heritage, in my experience, has been a family type atmosphere. So this should not be a place that's creating fear or creating a place where you don't feel the need to speak up or speak your voice. You should speak up, and that's one of the main goals of me being here today. Power and privilege, I'll just talk on that real fast. Just the way that this world is created, there are some people that have more power than others. I think you already know that. And some people that have, and privilege and power are closely related. Privilege is the ability to do things or make people do things based on who you are or based on identity markers or different parts of your identity. So a couple more agreements. Agree to love ourselves and others. Agree to be accountable for what we do. Agree to struggle against racism, sexism, classism, homophobia, transphobia, ageism, ableism, classism, misogyny, and other harmful systems. And I'll pause on that real fast just to say self-care is something that a lot of us struggle with. And in this conversation, I really want us to focus on loving ourselves and others. That's something I've learned from JTOH and that I definitely take out into all my work. We need to agree to be accountable. That's something that we struggle with in our communities is people will do things or say things and people will let them get away with it. I don't like that because that creates toxic environments. So if somebody does something that is problematic or toxic, I am welcome to pause in the moment and address it so that we can fix it and heal and move forward. I'm asking that we can all struggle against, so yes, struggle, for lack of better terms, is fight. And we need to not be afraid to stand up against these harmful isms in our community. So racism is judging people by their race. Sexism is judging people by their sex. And we know that that is a false binary. Classism is judging people by their class. Homophobia, judging people by their
Orientation.
sexual orientation. Thank you. And yeah, feel free to jump in because I am not an expert on any of this. I've just been studying, I know a little bit. Transphobia, that's your gender orientation. Ageism, judging people by their age. Ableism, judging people by their ability to do things. I got classism on there twice. Misogyny is the harmful system of men leading and bringing harmful things, but also knowing that women can lend to misogyny by putting men in positions to be toxic and harmful, and any other harmful systems that I haven't brought up. Let's agree today to handle conflicts with love and respect without calling the police. And I say that because I am actually about abolition. I think police, ICE, and other entities that we'll talk about today are really only here to hurt us. And so today, as this conversation, any conflicts that come up, I hope that we can talk about them without calling the police. And I'll put a caveat by saying there are people that are the police that I know and love. There are people that came from Journey Through Our Heritage that are currently working with the police. And I know them, I love them, and also they're gonna have to find a new job. Agree that our gifts bring value to this space and receive the gifts that this space offers to us. So I'm going to pause that and just come back to the meeting real fast, just so I can get a thumbs up from everyone if you agree to that. And if you don't want to show your screen, just put yes in the chat. Thumbs up if you agreed to those.
Where do you put a thumbs up at? We're still learning.
Just on the screen. You can put your thumb in front of the screen. And I wanted to first ground us in talking about the school to prison pipeline because of the work that you all are currently doing with Journey Through Our Heritage. And you all can jump in and interrupt me if correct, but are you still doing mentorship in schools where you share culture, art, and education and use that to empower students?
You know, we always have like the theme for the projects and stuff like that. We go to schools and we have the students kind of like come up with a project that revolves around the theme of that specific school year. And this year that we were thinking of kind of like focusing it more on the issues that are going on today. I mean, they've always been going on, but they're kind of like in the spotlight right now. So a lot of the schools have already kind of like focused on these issues regardless of like our themes in the past years. That it always kind of like a recurring topic that they really want to focus on, which is really cool. We always think, oh, these kids are young and they have so much to learn, but they already have so much knowledge. It's at such a young age, and they have such powerful ideas that just want to be expressed. So I'm really looking forward to the theme of this year. And so yeah, like a little bit more of that. The projects that we kind of focus on is like some do murals to kind of like represent the theme. Some others do poetry. Others do like a combination of like acting, kind of like a skit, teatro type of thing. And there's been some PowerPoint presentations even and things like that. But yeah, the combination of all of these things just kind of like it's kind of like a collage of all these art mediums, you know, that are able to be used by the students to kind of express what they think of the themes and what they want to say to everybody. Yeah, that. Mhm.
Yep. No, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So yeah, y'all are still continuing similar work and yeah, helping them to express their cultures. And that's kind of what I want to do today is think about how can we continue to talk to students about their cultures, their identities, their education, but even go deeper and push it to a risky zone. So I'm not going to play this video right now. Just by the clip, you can assume what it's about. But in America right now, we have an issue with the school to prison pipeline. And I want to use this as an example because this has came up in talking to my Journey Through Our Heritage students in the past. I was at ACE Community Challenge School, and many of those students were at that school because they were placed there by like their probation officer or something, and it was like their last chance. So many of my students already knew what was happening to our communities because of the police. They were already knowing about food deserts. They were already knowing about immigration issues, but it felt like a lot of it was just surface level. So if I was thinking, if we could push ourselves to have courageous conversations, this is a way to push it even deeper. So Courageous Conversations is actually a group, and I went to their conference last year, so that's why when I seen something about Courageous Conversations, I was excited to bring this to y'all just to make the connection. So Courageous Conversations, and I'll start on this right side before I come to the compass. But it first starts with the agreements, and you'll notice that some of those agreements attached to the agreements that we started with of staying engaged is more so actively listening. Experiencing discomfort is knowing that you're going to experience some things in life that are not going to be easy to deal with, and they're going to make you uncomfortable. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing and it's something that you can grow from. We want to speak our truth. What is true for me may not be true for you, but also accept non-closure. We only have a certain amount of time. We only have 15 more minutes left of today's workshop, so we're not going to be able to get through everything today. So know that we're not going to be able to tie a bow on everything. It's not going to be able to.
Next week.
Oh,
You're with us next week.
yes. So I will talk about that. Next week, I will be doing a follow-up workshop to this. I'll be finishing any conversations we don't finish today and talking to you all more about intersectionality and your own identities. Today, I'm more so focusing on the group and how we can be co-conspirators together. But next week, we'll be following up. So know that we will be following up, but you can't always have closure. And especially men. I'll tell y'all, that's something that I've learned in my relationships in life. You can't always have closure. Deal with that now, and you'll save yourself some heartbreak. 6 conditions. Focus on the personal, the local, and the immediate. A lot of this is going to be personal, and it's going to make you feel a certain way. Think about how that's making you feel personally, and also how you personally could be making other people feel. Isolate the race part of it. There are many parts of our identities. Today, we can isolate race to focus on just that, and it'll help us. Normalize that social construction. Normalize the word social construction and multiple perspectives. So things like race really are not a thing, but socially constructive. So words like race have been used in society to construct us and instruct us to behave and be certain ways. Things like gender are social constructions that tell us how we should behave. Things like class, all of those isms I talked about inform the ways we act. and also know about whiteness. I started by talking about blackness and whiteness. And I'm only saying that to say that this world is currently built on white supremacy and believing that everything that reflects whiteness is superior and everything that's not reflecting whiteness is blackness or the opposite, and therefore not as good. I disagree with that, and every time that I see whiteness, I hope to examine it and confront it. And that's part of Courageous Conversations. Courageous Conversations focuses on these agreements. So the first one starts with actually, I'm going a little too fast because of time. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. I'm going to try to slow down. The Courageous Conversations compass has 4 parts. And they are all 4 different parts that you can think about as you have conversations, specifically conversations that are risky and push you out of your comfort zone. So pretend, and the way that I could even talk to my 5th grade students about this is take any subject that you have to choose sides on. And I could choose peanut butter and jelly. I could take my students and have them say, you have to choose which one is better, peanut butter or jelly, and then make them have a debate about it. And there are 4 ways to have this debate. You could tie every debate to people's moral sense. So what do they believe? What is their religion and their soul telling them about their beliefs? And in that, you have to know that not everyone's going to have the same belief. So somebody's religion may be telling them that peanuts are their way to whatever, freedom, the next stage, etc. Some people's religion might be telling them that jelly is the right way. And you just want to know where people stand on their religion and know that when arguing morals, it's usually hard to get people out of that space. Intellectual. Whenever you are having a debate, it's often best to lead with intellect. Think about what people are thinking in their head. I know I know my experiences, and if you have grown up like me, then I know that you have had conversations with people that are hypocrites. And that's the weakest argument, when people are saying things that they don't do, and it's easy for you to just pick that out mentally by putting those together. So you want to tie things into what people are thinking. If someone is saying peanut butter is best because we have so much peanuts in this world, you can easily go against that thinking by saying, since there's a surplus of peanuts, why not do more jelly so that we can balance things out? That's an easy way to go into the intellectual way of thinking. Another way to have courageous conversations is go into the emotional feeling part of people's thinking. So what are they feeling, and why do they feel like that? If somebody is a diehard jelly lover, why do they think jelly is the only way to get a good sandwich? Why do they not think that you could have both? And then the last part of the compass is relational, the acting hands and feet. So that also ties to being a hypocrite. You don't want to you don't want to say things that you're not doing. So if you're going to be saying things, you want to act with your presence, with your body, and follow up. The main thing out of this is knowing where you are, more so the person that you are debating with. And you want to try your best to be in center. So center yourself in your morals, your intellect, your relationships, and your emotions. And that'll be your best way to win a debate, an argument, etc. I'll pause for just 30 seconds. Are there any questions on those 4 agreements?
No.
We're good.
For sure. All right. So now it's time to have courageous conversations. Now we are officially family. Well, we were family before this conversation even began because we are all journeying through our heritage. And now if I see you somewhere and I see you acting out of hand, you got to know that I'm going to have a courageous conversation with you. If you see me somewhere acting out of hand, you hear that I've done something that does not match your standards for me, please be willing to have a courageous conversation with me. A couple vocabulary, and I'm going to swim through these because we only have like 5 minutes left. Privilege. That's the right, and actually y'all are college students, y'all know these. Privilege is the right or liberally granted as a favor or benefit, especially to some and not others. An ally is a person, group, or country that has joined with another for a particular purpose. An accomplice is a partner in wrongdoing. I like to call that a partner in crime. And I want you to think about that definition for just a second. And then come to co-conspirator, which is very similar to an accomplice. Co-conspirator, a person who plots with others to do something harmful or unlawful. Think about those two definitions. Think about wrongdoing and unlawful. Also, think about the people that are in charge of making our definitions. Think about the people that are in charge of making our laws. And then last, I'll end with activist and an abolitionist. Abolition. An activist is just someone that is bringing awareness to something. So someone who's not willing to let a situation go unnoticed. It's an individual who feels so passionately about a topic that they just can't help doing something to learn more, to raise awareness, and to bring about change. And an issue that I think we need is abolition. I believe this entire system is created to oppress people of color especially, but now it's at a point where this system is created, all those that are not the top class, all those that are not the 1% are now oppressed in this current system, and we need to abolish this entire system. So I want to bring us back to accomplice and co-conspirator. I think these definitions are wrong. I think a partner in crime is someone that is actively going against these wrongful laws and helping us to dismantle these oppressive laws. And same for a co-conspirator. And that's what we need in this world right now is more accomplices and co-conspirators, because we know what these oppressive laws have done to our communities. As Black Lives, so I'm an elementary school teacher, and with you all's work in school, these are some demands that I'd like for you to think about. These are ending zero tolerance, mandating Black history and ethnic studies, hiring more Black teachers, and funding counselors, not cops. Those that are paying attention to the news in Denver right now, we just got an initiative for Denver Public Schools to end the contract with Denver Police Department, but the work is not done because Denver Public Schools still has their own safety team. They still handcuff and interrogate kids. They still have cars that look like cop cars and make people feel super anxious when they're around them. We know the benefit of having more Black teachers in our school. We know the benefit of having more brown teachers, etc. When we get more teachers that are culturally responsive and know the importance of students' culture, we know that it can help us grow. We know that Black history and other ethnic studies are important, and that's the work that you all are doing in JTOH. Without Journey Through Our Heritage, teaching youth about their culture and how powerful they are, they're really just going into schools and not finding any value because it doesn't reflect them. And zero tolerance, I'll talk about real quick, means making a mistake at school and it leads to consequences like getting suspended, expelled, or arrested. You all know our students, and we need more chances than that. Our students are making mistakes and finding themselves suspended, expelled, or caught up in the school to prison pipeline, and it's not okay. So what can we do? Also, restorative practices, transformative practices, this is my last part of talking today, means when you mess up and truly hurt somebody in your community, you need a chance to apologize and make up to it. So next time we'll be talking about transformative practices and intersectionality, and we'll go over the rest of these slides. I'm just going to close for my last demand. So this is, sorry y'all, I know we're running out of time and I'm sorry that everything was so rushed. So I'd like to end with this. Frederick Douglass has this quote that power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. Just talking about co-conspirators, allies, and accomplices, I think it comes from your generation, and I think the reformers of this new generation have tried to mess it up, and we're trying to bring it back. So back in your generation, everybody was about that action, and people weren't like being shady. But then COINTELPRO happened where cops were able to infiltrate our work. So now there are allies, which are like oftentimes allies are people that they say they're with you, but they're not willing to get their hands muddy. Co-conspirators are those that are willing to get dirty, and that's also an accomplice. So I will end with that. If y'all have any feedback for me, please share it with Renee, and I will talk to y'all next week.